Hello, welcome back. So let's continue where I left off. So where I left off from before was I was trying to turn my plane into a cube. But if you look here, I got some issues with DirectX because it's just rendering the two planes in the order that I tell it to, regardless of where they're positioned in physical space. So I need to set up some stuff with DirectX to allow me to occlude things that are behind others. So let's go back to here. That's HLSL. All right, so I think I need like a depth stencil, something or other. Let's just search for that, see what comes up. Configuring depth stencil functionality. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, so I need to make a texture 2D that's going to contain my depth information. And so DirectX combines the depth buffer with the stencil buffer into one 2D array. But for now, I'm only going to be using the depth part of it. So let's just hijack all that stuff. Oh, by the way, I realized I'm never returning anything from my WinMain. So let's do that. That should fix that issue. Oh yeah, and I think I had an issue with this. So if I turn a little bit to the side, and if I press the left arrow, my camera should pan to the left, but it's going at this weird like other angle, and I think that's just because I need to flip my up vector. That should be 1, 0, and then that should be 2, 1. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so going back here, so here where I'm setting my render targets, this is where I would put the depth and stencil buffer, or actually it's a view rather, but I don't have anything there right now, so that's why it's not doing any sort of depth occlusion. So I'm gonna paste that here. And so let's make that 0. I'm gonna call this my depth texture. And I'm gonna call this depth text desk and initialize it to nothing. And change all those. So the width is just the width of my window. The height is the height of my window. 1, 1. The format, not sure what the format is. The format should be one of these DXGI formats. Oh my goodness, there are a lot to choose from. Which one? Oh God, needle in a haystack. Does anything here talk about depth? This format supports 32-bit depth. Ooh, Z buffer, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so it's going to use 24 bits for the depth and 8 bits for the stencil, but I'm only using the depth, as I mentioned. Let's change that to be that. I think that's okay, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. This is my D3D11 device. And so that is going to be my depth text descriptor. Place null with 0. My depth texture is that. Okay, so then let's do a check to make sure that this H result is happy. Error creating depth texture. So if I run that, I get an error because what? Window undeclared identifier on 143. Oh, window. Where'd that come from? There we go. Okay, so no errors there. Where else we at? Okay, so I got that. So now I need to create the depth stencil state. Let's get all of this goodness here. All right, so I'll call this depth sten descriptor. Initialize it to nothing. Yeah, I think that's good. I want to enable that. Yeah, right to everything and comparison less. Yeah, so the smaller the z value, the more likely I want to render it. And I don't think I need any of the stencil stuff. Let's get rid of all that. We'll call this depth stencil state. And when I create my depth stencil state, I need my D3V11 device. And I'm going to pass in the descriptor and the state. So hopefully that is happy. No, it's not, because, oh yeah. Okay. Still not working, but we are on the right track. So we got that. And then, so now I need to bind to the thing. D3D11 device. OM set depth stencil state. That's my depth stencil state. I'm assuming that one is okay. I'm just going to leave it. Let's see if that works. Depth stencil state is not a member of ID311 device. Is it the context though? Yeah, that works. Why do they say that it's the device that has that function? Get your act together, Microsoft, please. All right, anyway, so then I need to create the actual depth view, depth stencil view. I'll call this depth sten view desk. Initialize it to nada. And then the format, I'm almost 100% sure should be the same as that. And yeah, dimension text, nip slice 0, sure. Okay, and then I will call this depth stencil view. And this should be my D3D11 device. Hopefully they're right this time. Okay, so then this is the depth stencil texture. So that is, I believe I called it depth texture. And then the depth stencil descriptor, which is this guy. And then the depth stencil view, which is this one. All right, and then let's check that H result. Yep, error creating depth stencil view. All right, so if I run that, I get errors because I cannot open the file. Why? Oh, because it's still running. What's going on? There we go. All right, so everything is, well, it's not giving me any errors, but I'm not getting the result I want. And that is also, yeah, because I need to take that depth stencil view that I just created and push that into there. And now I get nothing. Why? Oh, yeah. So I believe I also need to clear my depth stencil way down here. So I'm clearing my render target view, and I need to clear the depth stencil as well. So what function is that? Oh, hey, what do you know? Clear depth stencil view. That is from the context. So my D3D11 context, clear depth. Is that right? Yeah, stencil view. I'm gonna pass in my depth stencil view. My clear flags are, I want to clear the depth. What is else? The actual depth is clear depth buffer with this value between 0 and 1. So since I want to render the closest thing, I want to render the smallest thing, I want to clear it to the furthest thing, which is 1. And then this is just for the stencil buffer. I don't care about that. And if I'd done everything correctly, which it seems I have, yeah. So now, if you can see, the closer plane is completely blocking the further back plane from view when I'm putting the camera in that position. Cool, yeah, that was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So what I want to do now is build this into a cube. So let's do that, shall we? And eventually I want to change the order with which this back plane is being drawn so that you can only see it from the back side. So I'm just going to put a little note there. Change render order. Alright, so now I want to let's make the top plane of the cube. So for that, everything is going to be positive 0.5 in the y, and then my x and z are going to change. So my first x position is negative 0.5. Everything is 0.5 for the y. And the z, my first z, since it's closer, is going to be positive 0.5. All right, and then the normal is going to point straight up, so that's 0.0, 1.0, 0.0, and then the texture coordinates are going to be the same. So 0.0, 1.0. All right, let's just copy all that. Actually, let's do this. No. Copy this one. Okay, so that's top point. Then I want to push it further back in the z direction so that x stays the same, but the z is now negative. Normal is the same. And this texture coordinate is this one. And then so now it's going to be positive 0.5. The y stays the same. And the z stays the same. The normal stays the same, and the texture coordinate will be actually 1, 0. And 0.5, and now again 0.5 positive. Normal's the same. And the texture coordinate's the same as that. Okay, so let's see, and then I need to add that to my indices here, so that's going to be 8, 9, 10, 10, 11, oops, 8. Stop doing that. Yeah, okay. So then let's go ahead and change the order of this, and I think all I have to do is change the y to be the inverse. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, so let's do the bottom face of my cube. And everything here is pretty much the same, except for it's going to be negative in the y. And then I want to change, I think the Z. And then the normal will be -1. Oops. Oh, I need to add it to my indices. So that's going to be 12, 13, 14, 14, 15, 12. And voila. All right, 4 out of 6. Let's do this. Okay, so now I want to do, let's say, the left face. Ooh, I'm just going to copy all this and modify it. Okay, so the left face, everything is going to be negative in the X. And then we're going to start with a negative. Okay, so we want negative Y, negative Z. And then we want positive Y, negative Z. Then we want, again, positive Y, positive Z. And then negative Y, negative Z. And then the normal is going to be -1 in the X direction, and the texture stays the same. So we can now add that to our indices with 16, 17, 18, 18, 19, 16. Hey, hey. All right, one more face to go. So let's copy this. And then, oops. So the X is now going to be positive, and I want to keep the Y. No, I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so I think I just want to invert the Z. And then this is all going to be positive. Oh yeah, I gotta add it to the indices here, and that is gonna be done with 20, 21, 22, 22, 23, and back to 20. Hey, wait. Yeah, hey, I got a cube. Oh. Sweet. I can move around a cube, and if I go inside the cube, I can no longer see the cube. That is awesome. I'm gonna just enjoy this for a second. Okay. Now what do I want to do? I want to make it so that every face of my cube is not the exact same color. I want to add some very, very, very basic diffuse lighting. So how do I do that? So here. Yeah, so I'm going to change my shader around a little bit. I think the first thing I need to do is break up my transform matrix. I think, yeah, so I want a model matrix and then the camera matrix to be separate. And camera matrix. So then that means the final position is now a multiplication of the camera matrix, and then I need to multiply that by the model matrix. I think that's how you do it. So now I got to come back here and modify my uniforms. Okay, so size of transform matrix. Okay, so I'm gonna make, I'm gonna hack it. I'm gonna just do some really dumb hacky stuff right now. I'm gonna do size of matrix 4 times 2. So, because I'm passing in 2 matrices. But then it's not gonna be. Okay, now I'm gonna make a struct just a temporary struct. Call this vertex constants. And it is going to have two matrix 4s, one for the camera matrix, and let's keep the same order, right? Model and camera. Model matrix. And then so now this will be the size of vertex constants, not times 2. All right, so vertex constants. Yeah, I think that's okay. So then down here where I am updating my sub-resource, my vertex constant buffer, transform matrix. So yeah, I'm going to need to again put here vertex constants, and then size of, producing thing, vertex constants. All right, so then we're going to say that the vertex constants camera matrix is equal to this. And then the vertex constants model matrix is just equal to that. And I'm fully aware that this is not proficient code at all. It's just trying to get results at the moment. We all, okay. Vertex constants. Is that it? So if I do this, first of all, I'm going to get a bunch of errors. Oh no, I don't. And then if I run it, I get the same thing. Oh my goodness. I did a lot of coding without a lot of testing, and it all just seemed to work out. That's weird. Okay. So now that I have broken up my vertex constants into two matrices, I believe it'll be it'll be easier for me to apply some, again, very, 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 very basic lighting. So let's do this. Let's just hard code some stuff in here. We're gonna make float 3 light position. Float 3, let's just put it off in the distance somewhere, 5, 5, 5. And, okay. Okay, so then I think I need to take in more stuff here in the vertex output. So I want to float 3 for the fragment position. And then float 3 for the normal. I'll call it fragment normal. Yeah, missing semantics. Do I just make these up? I don't even know what these are. Can I just, any underscores? Frag, pause, frag normal. Yeah, I didn't think so. Output value vertex main is not completely initialized. That's cool. Yeah, I still don't fully understand how this HLSL semantics thing works. Let's look at the syntax of adding semantic shades shown here. In general, data passed between pipeline stages is completely generic. Okay, so I think I can make up my own semantics. It's just that I have to also take them in here in the pixel input, which makes sense. Let's just test this theory here. So let's go back, call this fragment position. Call this frag pause. And then another float 3 for the fragment normal. Frag norm. And then if I just were to take those here, still, damn. Oh, but now it's working better. Wait. Yeah. I don't know what's going on here. Let's just say output dot frag position. Incorrect number of arguments to numeric type instructor. Does it have to take 3? Hey, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I actually have to use these inside the function for it to not complain. Yeah, so obviously I don't want those to be set to that. So I need to take, okay, so how do I calculate the fragment position? I want to, which basically that, I think it's just that really. That's not going to work. All right, let's do this here. Unexpected token. Okay, so I think that's doing it. I think I am basically just taking the model matrix, multiplying it by the position, only taking the XYZ component of that. And then for the normal, I'm taking the model matrix, multiplying it by the normal, only taking the XYZ of that, making sure that that's 0, that's 1. So then I believe since this is just the same, well, I know it's kind of redundant. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so now that I have the fragment position and the fragment normal, how do I calculate the diffuse lighting? So I know it has something to do with the dot product or cross product or one of those things. Oh. Okay, so let's say we'll take the light position and subtract the fragment position, and that'll give me the vector. So let's see here. Light direction, let's call this float 3. Light direction equals light, wait, now I want to take the input dot fragment position and multiply, no, subtract that from the input, no, light position. Why did I compile that? I don't know. Okay, so that's the light direction. Probably want to normalize that. Is it normalize? Normalize it, yeah. Then light amount, I don't know, it's probably a terrible name. Okay, so then once I have the light's direction, I can get the dot product of that. So dot light the direction with the input dot fragment normal, and then I only want the positive side of that, right? So is there a max function? Yeah. So I want either that or 0. That does nothing. And now if I take that light amount and multiply it by my final color, what is that going to do? Give me a bunch of errors, that's what. Because that is not the right size. All right, now I think it's kind of working. So what if I don't put this in the right? Okay, so what if I just put 0, 5, 0? Then I should only see the top of my cube. I see the bottom of my cube. Okay, that is because, is this backwards? Should this be light position minus the fragment position? Seems as such. Yeah, that's looking all right. So now if I say, if I offset that by like a little bit and then that one as well, what do we get? Yeah, I think that is working. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of ambient light. So that way the things that are facing completely opposite of the light source will have some sort of illumination. Ambient light. I'll just call it ambient equals float 3, 0.2. Let's see, that's good. Ambient times, is that right? Nope, it is not. What if I did this? This is not going to work. I completely forgot how to add ambient light to my thing. Do I just add it? Oh yeah, I think I just add it, right? Yeah, that's it. I was overthinking that. Okay, so I'm going to, instead of calling that light amount, I'm going to call this the diffuse. Yeah, there we go. Haha, I got a cube with some light. Everybody loves it. All right, so now if I just add specular lighting, then I will have a Phong shader, I believe. But that's, you know, I think I'm just going to wrap it up here for today. Really just achieve the goal that I wanted to. I wanted to fix the depth buffer and then turn my plane into a cube. I got a cube. My camera's working fine. Yeah, I really don't know what I want to do next. Really, the options are limitless at this point. What do I want to do? Maybe I will, I don't know. You know, before I go, I'm going to make a quick to-do list here. Let's call this to-do.text. And then, in no particular order, just things I want to get done in the near future. Implement mouse look. So I want to be able to use the mouse to look around instead of having to use the arrow keys. I don't know what else I want to do. Oh yeah, actually first thing I'll do is improve lighting. So next time I'll probably just work on the lighting some more. I'll be able to control the light from the CPU side instead of having everything hard-coded here in the shader. And probably clean this up. I know I can do this in a lot more slick way. Same with this. So yeah, I'll just do that next time. Improve the lighting, implement the mouse look. And so I eventually want to replace the math.h's trig functions. And you know what I'm going to do before I go? I'm going to no, I'm going to do it next time. I was going to implement my own square root function, but I don't decide not to. Yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up here. I'm going to commit and save everything to git. So git dot, or git add everything, git commit, rendering a cube with super basic lighting. Let's push that up. All right, all done. We'll see you all next time. Thank you.